where Zainab's Ayaz will be, next to where Zainab now is, Naruja will be, where Karen is, Hanif will be, where Waqar is, Khadija will be.
With over 50 different languages spoken in the school and 3/4 of students with English as an additional language, how does Valentine's High School in Redbridge get the best results for students? Since EAL pupils spend most of their time in the mainstream classroom, this is where the school focuses its attention.
I'm making improvement in all my work.
Right, good.
In this film, we will see how Valentine's has adapted assessment for learning for EAL students and how teachers and students together keep track of progress and achievement.
Make sure you found the one for writing.
The school has an EAL specialist, Jan Pearson, who supports the mainstream teachers in the classroom and helps them with their planning. She works particularly closely with Alice Edwards and Shirley Forbes from the English department.
People have very strange ideas about what partnership teaching is. It's sort of not something that necessarily happens inside the classroom, it's something that happens outside the classroom. So it's, in our situation, it's 2-3 teachers planning together, working out some curriculum focus, looking at individual children, looking at lesson planning, looking at strategies, looking at tactics, so the whole gamut of the things that teachers do. The main thing is that they're on the scale.
The end of the academic year is approaching, and the team are planning a lesson which focuses on how students can improve their levels in English. They think it will be a useful exercise for the group before they move up to Year 9 in September.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Understand what it's about.
Yeah. And it's drawing the conclusion, it's, you know...
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, we're using a graphic organiser in order to make the achievement clearer, make the point. So
Yeah. It's just making sure these kids who are below 2
actually
know that they've got a success criterion that they can meet, and it's in both languages.
Right.
I think it is quite important that Jan isn't an English specialist because she brings something different to the perspective of planning lessons. She's a little bit more like one of the kids in the sense that she's not spent the last 5 years at university doing Jane Eyre, and she can come in and say, this doesn't make sense, this sentence is far too long, these kids won't understand these words. We're able to take that on board and change our planning accordingly. For today, we're going to be thinking about 3 keywords, as you can see, and you've written them down in your book. The first one is evaluation, the second one is skill, and the third one is level. We're going to give you 2 minutes to discuss with the person next to you what you think those 3 words mean. No, they never choose where they sit. Every half term I change the seating plan. Generally it's boy-girl, but that doesn't always work because there may not be equal numbers of both. Generally try and mix the languages and the ethnic groups and so on. And obviously bear in mind that with somebody who's a stage 1 learner of English needs to be with supportive role models.
For this half-term, Alice has put early stage learner Angkor next to Sophie and paired up Mohammed, who also has limited English, with Monica.
The vast majority of the lesson will be talk and discussion, either in pairs or in a small group, and that leads obviously on to some sort of note-taking, some sort of recording, but not huge amounts of writing, not sitting in silence writing for hours upon hours. It's paired work. We never ask an early learner to actually sit and work in silence on their own. They've always got a buddy.
So you can still got to improve on speaking and listening.
But EAL learners always go in at the middle because they need good language role models, because they are not necessarily in need of the specific interventions that you might find in a lower set, which is designed for children with special educational needs, because they're not SEN, they're just learners in a different language. Hopefully we move them to the top set as well, because a lot of them are gifted and talented.
Yeah, your standard of work and what you think the level, like is it a 4, 5 or 6 or something?
What I want you to do now, everybody please, is show me with your cards your understanding of the word evaluation.
The green card means I'm sure, amber I'm not sure, and red I don't know. The students choose a card and put it in front of them on the desk.
But you're not sure, then let's have an amber card.
Well, the aspects of assessment for learning we've been using in particular are the traffic light cards. which we find are useful because it stops the problem of the same children always having the hands up and the same children always not having the hands up, and is not necessarily knowing what the silent majority do or don't understand.
They can all turn a card, even if they can't say anything, even if they haven't got the language, they can all turn a card. So they can show a level of understanding, and of course you can provide the support. If they all turn red cards, you know that perhaps you need to start again. But it means that they all have the right to participate, and they all have to be aware that you could go to them at any time.
And a red card if you're totally...
The other thing about the traffic lights is that I don't understand and I don't know becomes a valid answer. And that's important because, again, if we're addressing issues of learning, sometimes you don't understand.
Abara, what other skills do we have in English?
Speaking, listening, writing, reading.
And another one this group thought of which was interesting. Thinking. I thought that was an interesting one. If you're a certain level now, Sophie, does it mean you're always going to be that level?
No, because you can improve in your work and aim for a higher level.
Right, so hopefully you can improve on your work and always move on to a higher level.
A lot of what we do in English, and that's probably why, again, we're connecting up so much with the EL department, is that we do it through talk. So yes, there may be a written outcome, but the written outcome could be a diagram, it could be a brainstorm, it could be a mind map, it could be bullet points, but that will come probably from a group discussion so that they can perhaps copy what somebody else has written, so they're learning the words, but they're learning the words through the spoken language.
First box going this way is going to be a not here box. It's not going to be right at the bottom here.
The written element of today's lesson is a graph, which the students draw to show their levels across the year in reading, writing and speaking.
Overall, I'd say that there are very high expectations of all our pupils, and that includes those who've just arrived and may have very little English, and it includes those who've been here a long time. So we generally, I would say, see the cultures and the experiences that the children bring to us as an opportunity for their learning and for us, our learning, rather than as a problem that we have to deal with. And I think that's important. Because you were aware, you weren't here, were you, in this school for these? Yeah? You got a pencil? Right, hang on a minute.
A lot of them have come from situations where learning is not a school-based activity. It's a cultural, it's a communal activity. It's something they learn. We've had pupils who've come literally off the farm. Their learning is how to look after the animals with granddad, with uncle, with father, with older brothers. And the school-based learning that we do is completely different.
Can you borrow one? I'm just giving my last one to Uncle. Can you borrow one from somebody on your desk, please? All right? So you know what you've got to do? And it's up until there, isn't it? Because that's when you came in at the middle of Ghost, didn't you? So you could do it up to poetry there, couldn't you? Wouldn't it be easier to do your y-axis all the way up before you start doing colours?
Miss, I do this by maths.
Do you?
I'm in set 3.
Are you?
Yes.
Do you think if you did your axes a bit straighter, you might be in set 2?
It's nothing to do with maths.
Oh, isn't it? And why doesn't that surprise me?
The behaviour in this school is very good. It's because there is a good relationship between staff and pupils. There's a lot of respect between staff and pupils. And they're safe, they're warm, they're comfortable, they can explore learning. They don't have to worry about their physical safety or their emotional safety. They know that they're going to be looked after, and that's absolutely crucial.
You might do red for reading, and then to choose a different colour for writing and a different colour for speaking, and then red for reading. Yeah? Do you understand? Yeah. Most of you have now finished your graph then, your bar chart. You've used the information you've got in your folders about your levels. I want you to look at your own bar chart, have a chat with the person next to you about how your bar chart may be similar or different from theirs, and have an answer to that question. What does the bar chart tell you about how you need to improve in English? 2 minutes to do that now, please.
Your reading is not good, yeah, but by writing and speaking is improving.
Mohammed, what do you think to your graph? What does it show you? Reading, you've done.
Alice and Jan firmly believe in the benefits of pair work for the EAL students.
Reading. It gives pupils at an early stage who might not be confident about speaking to the whole class or speaking to a large group, the opportunity to practice what they're going to say and sort of sound things out on somebody else first. Obviously also it helps their skills because they'll be paired up with somebody who's got more English than they have.
What conclusions have you come to?
I've like, you know, writing, I've kept at the same speed. So I've like
Same speed or the same
level.
Right.
But in speaking, I've moved up.
Generally, whatever the level, whether you're talking about gifted and talented children or people who are very early stage or whatever, it gives them a chance to find out what other people's ideas are.
It tells you where you're at and arrange you to get to that the higher level.
Does it tell you what you've got to do to get to the higher level?
No, it tells you like.
That's what I told you before, you wouldn't listen.
I think that's particularly applicable to our subject because it's not a matter 9 times out of 10 is a right and wrong answer. It's a matter of opinion, so somebody else's opinion is always useful.
It tells you what in what area if you have to like reach the heavy level. So like if you get like a 4 in reading, you have to get like to a higher level.
Children can get very fixated with what level they are and not necessarily know what it means or what they've got to do to move on. And it's important across the board that they have some idea of what things mean and how they can use those things to help them rather than just see them as a summative statement of who they are. Which skill in particular do you think you need to improve on? Is there one? Writing? Yeah, you think writing's important. I agree, because I think speaking and listening, we already can do quite a lot of that, can't we? Yeah, good. So we're going to focus on writing. Excellent. Okay. Monica, you've got an...
In reading and writing, I've stayed at the same level all the time, but in speaking, I've moved higher and I've improved, so I need to concentrate on writing and reading.
Which skills, Mohammed, did you decide you particularly needed to improve on?
Speaking.
Speaking. That was one of the first ones that you were going to focus on. Good.
The students are then asked to look at the success criteria for their next level of writing and are asked to work through it with their partner.
Now, Mohammed, you've got your language. I want you to use that one, all right? Because that's where you are. It says write own sentences. Every lesson, I'm going to expect you to write something on your own.
Somebody does have limited English. If they are always getting a non-applicable level constantly, that's very detrimental to their self-esteem. But if they can get a comment about, yeah, you've done really well on this and this was good and this is what you need to improve on, that's much more useful than always thinking that they're never meeting the grade.
And how are you going to help him?
So I'm going to guide him the way. So I'm going to tell him how to write sentences and what could be used and the vocab which is used.
Right, Monica, are you going to tell us then a little bit about what you think you're going to do to improve?
I need to check my accurate, so I need to check my work.
Right, and you're right, we've talked about this as a class, haven't we, at the moment. The one thing with our writing as a group that's stopping us moving on in most cases is accuracy, isn't it? Well done, you've done very well today, it's been excellent. Let's see who's ready to go.
Just because they don't know English. I mean, they know a lot more than we do. I mean, some of them are coming in here speaking 3 or 4 languages, and those are fluent languages, and they're languages that they're using for academic purposes. I can't do that. You have to admire what they've got and what they bring into the lessons.